You're listening to Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to show number 26 of Whispers of War. I'm your host Sil and I want to jump right into it. Thank you everyone who's shown me so much support for the last week. It was really appreciated. It really helped. And, you know, things are not easy at times, but at least I have the podcast and you guys and World of Warcraft to keep me busy in my life. So, let's just jump into World of Warcraft. What have I been doing? Of course, I was a bit limited because I don't have a computer in Spain or decent internet to do anything. So, I've been mostly thinking about, you know, what do I want to achieve in game? Is there something that I really want to focus on? Because in all fairness, I'm in a little bit in a lull, and that's not a bad thing at all. There's enough stuff to do. But I don't feel that I need to play constantly, you know, every day for hours and hours on end. That's just not doing it for me at the moment. So I thought, okay, well, what are the things that you generally do enjoy? And it's you know, working towards a little goal. And I started to play my allied races a bit more because I actually want to get their heritage gear. So that is my next goal for everything. I want to get heritage gear on the races that have it available. So I would have to work on my Blood Elf to get her reputation up. Or get the Paladin Blood Elf up to 120. Because I think she's almost exalted anyway with Silver Moon. And, you know, do the same for a Dwarf. I don't have a Dwarf on my main server. So I'm debating either I level my... they're all level 100, I think, the ones that I have. So either I'm going to level those on my other server, my Alliance server. Or it was my previous Alliance server. Where I have, I think, every race. And then maybe transfer them once we get the 50 slots free and just move them all to one server. Or I wait until we have 50 slots and create a new dwarf, maybe? I don't know, that might be fun. I say fun very tentatively, I don't know if it's going to be fun, we'll see. Yeah, so really working on the heritage gear and leveling the allied races. So I'm focusing at the moment on my Lightforged Paladin, because I am really enjoying Paladin, especially leveling as a tank. And just jumping into dungeons, and it feels quite, I wouldn't say easy, but it feels quite natural to be a tank as a paladin, and I'm enjoying it. And yeah, she's about level 40 now. I'm just taking it slow, and when I get a bit bored of the paladin, I jump on my Void Elf warrior, and that's how I'm going to do it for now. Once those two have hit max level, I think I'm going to go and level my Nightborn Monk, because she's only level 30, so I have lots to do. Now, there's more races, of course, that I need to do, but I don't want to create anything just yet until we have those 50 character slots on one server. I have no idea when this is about to happen. I don't know if you guys have heard anything, like an estimate of, are we getting it this year or next year? Because, you know, I need to plan. I'm planning my WoW life, as sad as that is. So yeah, I would like to have a bit of an estimate of when I'm getting this new thing free to me. Seriously, guys, I'm so excited about that. It's so freaking ridiculous that I'm excited for 50 character slots on one server. I'm absolutely going to probably regret this, because, you know, you already have so many of the same classes, and now I have to play doubles, and which one do you pick then? But I guess it's, you know, I guess I could make RP backgrounds for all of them and play them that way. Maybe that would be more of a valid thing. So that's one of the things I've been doing. I've also been playing a little bit again on my my Blood Elf Rogue. I am actually really enjoying my my two mains. So my main is my Blood Elf Rogue, and on the Alliance side it's my Boomkin Druid. I really like my Night Elf there. I've started to fall in love with her again a little bit. And yeah, just doing whatever is coming up. So I'm gearing, doing all the little bits and pieces that come with, end level stuff, I guess. World quests and just, something pops up like a war front. Oh, let's just do that to get some gear. The only thing I haven't done yet, and that's just because I don't have a lot of patience at the moment, is sign up for LFR. I really just want to jump in and just do it, but queue times are still a little bit long. Could be the time of day that I play. So I have not done that yet, and I do want to jump into dungeons. I think I've been saying that from the start of this expansion, but I still want to jump into some of the dungeons and just, maybe start focusing on Mythic Plus, I don't know. But yeah, I'm actually having a lot of fun, even though I'm not playing it really intensely, and that helps. Because there are other games that I can play really, really intensely, and I don't know how it is with you guys, but I have a massive backlog on Steam and my other games that I play. I still want to get a max level character in Final Fantasy. I want to finish most of my quest lines in Elder Scrolls Online once, it doesn't lag anymore. I don't know what's going on with Elder Scrolls Online, but ever since the Merc Mario patch, it's just been crap for me. So, shame, because it's a good game. And I have so many other games I need to finish, like The Witcher 3. I need to get back into Stardew Valley. I want to play some Hearthstone, Overwatch, and I also really need to finish Borderlands 2. I know, shame on me, I haven't even finished that. So much to do, and I just, spoiled for choice, and then I become a bit like, I don't know what to pick, and let's just do something completely different. And that's when I pick up a book. So, yeah, I need to get back into my my gaming routine again, and just see where it will take me. But I'm having a lot of fun, and that's good, I think, especially after so much negativity that we've had about the layoffs. And I know it's horrible. It's never nice for people to lose their job. I think it's a sad thing, and I don't know, but you could see in the community that people immediately are like jumping on board and going, it's doom and gloom, soon we won't have this game anymore. And I don't understand that mentality at all. I think it's just people who have already fallen out of love with the game and then just want to wreak and seed negativity, or plant it. It's just I don't understand why. If you just don't like a game anymore, just leave it. You don't have to be part of the community anymore. Just go do something else. You don't have to bring others down just because you're not happy anymore. But yeah, that's my opinion. Anyhow, I am going to leave you with an interview with the lovely Marty, who was so nice to return on the show for me. First guest ever on this podcast, and yeah, we are having a little catch up. So I will come back with some guild drama that you guys sent to me after the interview. So I'll see you on the flip side. So today I have a familiar voice in the community, in the podcasting world, and also someone who I've talked to many times and who was my first guest on this show. Welcome, Marty.
Hello. Oh, was I really the first one?
You were the first one.
I feel special now.
I know, we're going full circle now, aren't we?
Hopefully this is not the last show then.
I hope not. That would be really sad. So, Marty, just for the people who don't want to go back to like show 2, tell everyone who you are, what you do.
Yeah, well, my name is Marty and I'm from Denmark, and I have been doing a small Blizzard podcast called The Recluse for the past, I don't know, I want to say 4 years. I'm not completely sure.
Wow.
Because, I mean, who's counting these days anyway? Actually, I'm so unsure if it's 3 or 4 years. I don't remember. But it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. A lot of things have happened over the years, and one of the things that happened last year was that we decided to do another podcast because we also play other games than Blizzard games, so we wanted to talk about that. So we also made a little podcast called Nerd This, where we can talk about anything nerdy that we want to talk about. So yeah, I think that's the two main things that I do. But I also, dabble here and there and do a lot of creative things.
Which is very good, and I particularly really like the network, if I may call it that way. I really like the name for it.
The dragon-powered studio.
I really, really like that.
The thing is that I don't know. We just sat down one day and were like, "Hey, we need some. Wouldn't it be cool if it was something that suited DPS because it means damage over time?" But then we find some other words and we giggled to ourselves and thought that would be amazing and came up with Dragon Powered Studio and we're like, "Hey, that's a cool name actually." So yeah, that's the very short story behind the name. It needed to be something that were DPS.
It's clever because I like the DPS thing. I didn't know that. I thought it's just a really cool fantasy name, and then that's really clever. Right, so it's been about 25 episodes that we've talked, which is actually quite a while now. Thinking about it, that's at least 25 weeks. How have things changed since okay, you haven't all the things around it, but what has changed for you, maybe in game or everything around it?
Actually, I think a lot of things have changed. Actually, if I just have to look back on the last, I don't know, probably 25 weeks, that's roughly 6 months, right? That's roughly a year. So, I mean, personally, I've moved. I moved again last year. No, 2 years ago. I moved to a new apartment, and now I actually moved back to my old apartment to move in together with a girl that I met. So yeah, I think I had that 6 months ago. Yeah, I had that 6 months ago as well. But yeah, moved in together with my girlfriend. She's from Germany and I'm from Denmark. So so now we actually live together. So that's like on the personal level that has happened. In the podcast, I think we have Nerd This now. And I think we have started to, sort of figure out where are we and what do we want to do with the podcast, because, it evolves all the time, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we figured something out and I've started doing these teaser videos, spending a lot of time on, finding a sound clip from the show, from the episode that is funny and can, be standing on its own, and then do a little video to it. So I've started fooling around with Adobe After Effects, and that's been hilarious to do so far. And some of the videos that has come out of it is if I have to say myself, quite funny. So if other people find them funny as well, I don't know, but it's at least loads of fun to do.
That's really good. So a lot of creative changes and that must be really great. It must be a really great feeling.
It is really great, especially, I don't feel like it's super fun to be like a Blizzard podcaster these days. You heard the news, but at least then there's always other stuff that you can do as well while you're in that period of time where it's not too fun to do one thing. Then if you can do something else as well, then it works.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I'm not going to lie about it. I think a lot of people who are playing World of Warcraft at the moment, we've all heard the news about the layoffs at Blizzard and the state of panic that a lot of people have. And I have to admit that you see a lot of the people in the community actually coming together and being really, really supportive of each other and really nice. And I think that's something positive that came out of it.
Absolutely. And I also think, because I have quite a few YouTubers that I follow, and sadly I see a lot of those YouTubers go into, oh, it's doom and gloom, Blizzard is over, nothing is as it used to be. And to be honest, us as a gamer, I don't think too much have changed for us. Obviously, I think like the community feeling have taken a little bit of beating, but looking at it from the gaming side, I don't think too much have changed. At least not yet. We haven't seen anything new. We haven't really seen anything that tells us that we're in a bad situation. Because personally, I don't think we are. I just think it's all the news that's been coming out lately that obviously, makes people feel that way. But I'm pretty sure when we see the next Blizzard game coming out, all those feelings will dissipate.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a tendency that I don't know if it's just the gaming culture, because gamers are quite heavily on the internet, and we know what the internet can be like. And I sometimes get the feeling that it's a bit like, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. That feeling is what I get when you see things like that. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that the layers have, because we're still talking about people's jobs.
Exactly. Of course it's not a good. It's never fun when people lose their jobs, and I mean it's not like I'm standing here saying, 800 people got laid off. So what? We're still having our great old games, That's it's obviously it's never a fun situation, but I also think that we sitting here on the outside maybe should just chill a little bit and see what actually happens.
Exactly. I mean, we still have the game to play. So, and I actually did see you log in at times. I think was it Tom who went like screenshotting you logging in?
Goddamn internet! You can't do anything.
Nothing is private anymore. So all your secrets are exposed. But I
play World of Warcraft.
As if it's a dirty thing, but I've seen you log in. So how are you finding the current state of the game for you?
I have to admit that, I mean, there is not too much new to do. I mean, the latest patch didn't bring too much new story content in. So from that aspect, there's not too much to do. So if you're up to date and you're thinking, hey, should I come back because I want to explore more story and lore, then I don't think this is the time for you. I think the next patch might be a little bit more story content heavy, but for now, I would say just wait a little bit, wait a few months until the next patch coming around. But then, I mean, there's lots of things to do if you're still interested in the whole world. I mean, recently there was the what's it called, the armor, the heritage armor.
Yeah.
Because I have a dwarf. I have a dwarf that was level 110. He was exalted, and I was like, I need to get the dwarf to level 120, and get that heritage armor, and just see what that's all about. And you get a cool little story quest to do. It was a little bit short. I wouldn't have minded. It would have been a little bit longer maybe, but it was quite entertaining. And I mean, I love gearing up. So that hitting level 120, getting the heritage armor, and starting looking at the map and thinking, okay, if I go over here, do some world quests, then I can get this key, and then I can get into dungeons, and looking for raid is almost right around the corner, and things like that.
And then you get suckered in.
Exactly. I mean, I enjoy my time, but also have to say that I'm not logging in every day. I'm not old school hardcore about it anymore.
Okay, and I think that there's different ways of playing the games, because I know there are people who are religiously only World of Warcraft, and then there are people who I think you and I we dabble in other games, and there's nothing. I've always been, ever since the so many years I started playing this game, I don't think there's anything wrong with playing other games, because you actually see what World of Warcraft does have to offer, or what it could learn from other games. And I think it's already started to take over some of the features that we have in add-ons and from other games. So I'm still hoping for the 50 characters on one server that will happen really quickly.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but we are on a connected realm. So what I started doing was that I just started creating characters on the other realm, the one that's connected to mine, because then they're technically on the same server.
And I think I can't remember if my server actually is. I think it's one of those. It's so big that they have not connected it to any of the other servers properly.
Yeah.
But I'm on a dirty RP server, so that's probably. We are connected to the other RP servers in a way, but I don't think it's as much as in, you have your realm group. I don't think that we're connected to anyone in that way.
I don't think it's dirty to be on a realm, a role-playing server, unless you're in Goldshire, right?
Well, I have to admit, I have been known to be there and getting my feet licked, apparently, or asking if I could remove my boots. I have not done it yet.
Okay.
So, but Goldshire is a thing. It is a thing. It isn't.
Yeah.
I would say. So, fair enough. Wow, I think it's far from dying. I think in both our opinions. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to talk about a lot of Blizzard games, and I think I have to be considered a podcast then at a certain point. But
yeah, I mean, the story content for this expansion is so good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to see the next step and what's going on, and I think that the leveling, because now I just went through it again, so it's fresh in mind, and I'm like, yeah, the storylines, the story content so far is so good, and I can't wait to see more of it. So it's just a shame that you have this overshadowing thing that there were a few game systems that didn't work properly in the beginning, and that's what everyone is focused on.
Yeah. I think in general, people like to look more at the negative things. I mean, look at that's why you have drama TV, you don't just get happy-go-lucky and everything's great TV. Everything is kind of based on drama and doom and gloom, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to, because we said that, we would look at other games a little bit, and I think we came to a mutual subject of the state of gaming in general, because I think it was today or yesterday that I read that not only did Blizzard lay off a lot of people, unfortunately, but it was the same for ArenaNet, who have Guild Wars. And a lot of people in the Guild Wars community that I'm also part of have been a bit panicky about it. So what do you feel about it? Is there a state of panic in the gaming community? What is going on?
The thing is that I haven't really looked into the ArenaSoft layoffs, and I believe EA as well in Australia is also laying off people, but I haven't really looked too much into it. But I think the one that I know the most about is Activision, and I sort of feel like that gaming has been or still is really big, so companies are trying a lot of different things, and I think Blizzard, Activision Blizzard and others have been trying a lot of things, and building up esports and doing all these other things besides just creating games, and I think that now they have realized that maybe we should focus on developing and not doing all these other things, and then they're adjusting the course, and then obviously sometimes a few people are in the way of that, so they have to make these layoffs. But then again, I don't know why ArenaNet had to lay off people, if it's a similar situation or what it is. I also think that there is a lot of gaming companies now, and there's indie games, and I mean there's a lot of people. Well, a lot of companies who's fighting for the same, us, the gamers. They're fighting over all of us, and I think there's a lot of competition as well.
Yeah, I think you and I think we are exactly the same age, and I don't know if you experienced it, but back in the day, you had your probably one gaming magazine in your country, at least I did, and that's what you read, and you were like anticipating, a game is coming out, and you didn't take much notice to the reviews, at least I didn't at that age, and I was just like, yeah, a game is coming out, I'm pre-ordering it without all the hubbub of you get DLCs or anything. It was just a game, and you would just play it, you would put it in whatever console back in the day, because I had to play it on consoles, what you had, and you just had an experience. And it feels like nowadays games are being popped out by the second by so many different companies, and people have really high expectations, and sometimes I get the feeling that games are just set up to fail, just because we as gamers, as consumers, are expecting quite a lot, and we don't take certain crap anymore. Like, a game will get ripped immediately if you get the base game, but then you need to add £25 or dollars or whatever it is on extra DLC or things that you actually need for the game to get an extra experience. And it almost seems like our generation is not really happy with that anymore, and doesn't really want that kind of stuff unless you get worth for your money.
Yeah, but I think there's some truth to that, but I also think that some companies have taken advantage of, we have built this IP. Our fan base will buy anything as long as it has this name on it, or as long as it has the Blizzard stamp of approval, then people will buy it. And then when these companies start, maybe like Bethesda is creating a game that is not up to their standards, then and because of the internet as well, and people with opinions can actually voice their opinions now. I think everything is a little bit more out in the open, and so I think it's a combination of that as well, that some companies are just trying to sell us poop, basically, and thinking, these days we can just put out a patch and we'll fix it down the line. It doesn't matter if the game isn't completely done. We'll just fix it as we go on. And so the question is that a good practice? Is that what we want? And yeah, a lot of people don't, I think.
No, and in a way, I think it is good. I think it is good that we can see the difference now with how it used to be, and just accepting things, because it was so difficult to find things. I had dial-up internet, so you're not really going to look up anything for is this a good game or anything. You're just like, yeah, well, I'll buy this and I'm sure it will be fine.
Yeah.
And I think that has changed nowadays, like you said, and I think it's a good thing that the consumers can say, yeah, we don't agree with this at all. But I think it is a shame that we do get still hyped for certain games. I mean, let's face it, everyone was so hyped for Fallout, and there are still people who love it and who play it, but there's also a huge vocal group who just go, no, I'm not playing that crap at all. It's horrible. And I think it's good that people voice why they're not happy with it. I don't really understand why a company would have that mentality, of, yeah, we'll just bring it out with bugs and everything, and then we'll patch it later on, because it leaves a bit of a tainted, a smear on the game, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, back in the days, you had one chance to do the game right because it was on a CD or DVD or whatever, and you couldn't just patch it afterwards as you can nowadays. So
Exactly.
back then you actually needed to create a quality product. Where I feel these days obviously I want a quality product still, but companies can get away with a few more things these days, and. So I feel like it's a shame that some companies, it seems like they're just doing it because they can. But on the other hand, I also feel like it's like the Division 1 is a good example. I think that it wasn't actually in a great state when it came out. I really love that game, by the way. But probably because I'm not a hardcore PvPer, so I was never really affected by all the major things in that game. But then a year down the line, they patched everything. They actually managed to turn it around to be a good experience for everyone, and now people are hyped for Division 2, and they regained our trust in the franchise, and so hopefully the Division 2 coming out in 2-3 weeks will hopefully they have learned that lesson, and it's actually a good game when it comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the games out there, which I know you also play, who pulled it back from having a really bad first start and then relaunching itself and basically reinventing itself, was, for instance, Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Because, when the online version came out, it was horrendous that they completely scrapped it and just redid everything.
That requires balls. Seriously, yeah. I didn't know too much about it, but then recently a lot of people that I know started playing Final Fantasy. So I was like, oh, I'm bored of World of Warcraft right now. I'm bored of all my Blizzard games. I want to try something out, and there was a free trial, and I jumped in. And I was like, hey, this game is actually quite good fun. I'm really enjoying myself, and I bought the game and started playing it. And then I started watching, because that's how I am. I like, know stuff about the things that I do. So I started looking into, the history, because I did remember, the stories about, there was this MMO that they totally had to redo it and things like that. I do remember, hearing those stories, but I never really investigated it back then. But then now that I started playing the game, I started looking it up, and I found a video series that went through everything and why it was horrible and things like that. And I was just so amazed that, that the developers actually had the guts to say, like, all right, we'll just close down this whole MMO, redo it, and relaunch it, and that it then also succeeded is amazing. I feel like that should be like an example how you do things if you really F things up.
Yeah, because I do get the feeling that they really care about the franchise in that sense. That they don't want to leave a bad taste in people's mouth and just go like, okay, we have to redo this. And it shows, because I think, I'm not, don't quote me on numbers, I really don't know, but I believe that they are the second biggest MMO in the world, or the first even. I'm not entirely sure, because I know they have a huge fan base in Asia. And probably also America. So I think they are up in the top 3, must be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I heard that they had larger numbers than World of Warcraft at some point. But again, don't quote me on it. I'm not completely sure, but I definitely think they're competing with World of Warcraft these days. Yeah,
because I think they are one of the few who actually still, just like World of Warcraft, have a monthly subscription. So many others that started out like that have gone, okay, you just have to buy the game, or it's free to play now, or all those things.
Or close down.
Yeah, exactly.
Wildfire. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so.
No, Wildstar.
It's such a shame that some MMOs just shut down, and I think another one like that. I don't know if you've ever played it, but the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, I played a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that had some startup problems. Then they made it better. But, and this is my little rant about Bethesda, after an update somewhere in November, and I think it's the Murkmire update, there is a thing with another third party that they use for, I think it's your internet or something like that. And for some people, it means that you get horrendous lag. And it's not a small percentage. I think it's like a large percentage of the players are having this. And, you could have the best computer in the world and still your graphics, it looks as if you're running it on Windows Vista. And it's horrific, because they don't want to take any liability for it and just go, well, it's, are you running add-ons? No. Oh, well, we don't know then, reinstall it. And nothing like that works. And I think that's sad, because it's actually a really good game. The amount of effort that goes into voice acting and, the lore of the world. And they're releasing another expansion soon. And I'm just like, guys, you have to, make sure that everyone can play this. So you need to talk to this third party who does all of this. And for the moment, I can't remember what it is. That actually is it. I've seen it somewhere, and it's only a theory, because people are not 100% certain that is actually the thing that's making it lag for everyone. But yeah, it baffles me, because I used to love playing, just jumping in Elder Scrolls Online, playing a bit on my Dark Elf, and now I can't do it. And I'm just like, oh, this is horrific. I bought all these expansions just not to be able to play. And I think that is something that, I don't know if that's just Bethesda being difficult at times, because we see that with Fallout, it's not been great with how they respond to the player base with certain things. Nice. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the future for the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, I played it a little bit, and I know that Tom and Amanda, Tom from the Recluse and his girlfriend, I know they have played it quite a bit and invited me over as well. So we actually did play a little bit together at some point, and I have to admit that I quite enjoyed the bits that I did play. I just think that for me, because then they stopped playing and then I was there alone, and for me an MMO is about playing with friends and other people. So since I didn't have that outlet at that point, that's why I didn't really stick with it. And I think that's why Final Fantasy is sticking right now, because we have a little group of people who play it now. So yeah, just locking in and having fun with your friends.
Definitely. How would you say that the state of, if we reel it back to MMOs, how do you feel like, because I know, I've actually Googled it this week because I wanted to see, are there any big MMOs coming out this year? And I think the one that's on everyone's, net is the one that Amazon is wanting to launch. I can't remember for the life of me what it's called, but I have it somewhere. But I know that, a lot of people are not even that interested in Amazon doing it, in the sense of, they're not a publishing company like a gaming company, but they have money, which could buy you really good designers and quest makers, or game designers, So how do you feel like where we are at this point in time with MMOs and the market?
When it comes to MMORPGs, then I sort of feel like that. I think there is the games. I don't really know what a new game would have to do differently to come in and blow everybody else away and get a lot of people to play it. But I mean, I guess it can be done. But I sort of feel like that the MMO is in a stagnant place right now. Maybe even downward curve or whatever. I feel like there's so many other games, like the battle royale games is probably what's really big and hot right now. So yes, I don't know, but I mean, I guess if it is a really really good game, it is possible to launch the next MMO, I guess. But I don't know. I just feel like I don't know.
Do you think we're quite saturated with the big MMOs that we have at the moment?
I sort of feel like we are, and I mean, even because I think I've played most of all the MMOs that came out after, well, not all of them, but most of them I've tried out while World of Warcraft came out, and all of them had something to them, but none of them really did anything either different or better than World of Warcraft did. So I don't know. I think it's a difficult market to get into, and I think the ones that are sitting there right now are sitting really good on their player base, like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy.
Yeah, because like pulling it back to World of Warcraft, I think with the news that we've had, and that a lot of people were really enthusiastic for Battle for Azeroth, and now it seems like at this point in time, like a lot of people are very divided. Some people are very all of a sudden against World of Warcraft, and there are a lot of people who say, well, I don't know what's wrong, I'm still enjoying it. And then there are some, like yourselves, who sometimes get a bit bored with what's going on. What is it that Blizzard could potentially maybe do to get this all back on track for those who really don't like it? Or do you think it's just, that's the normal ebb and flow of the game, that's something that just happens?
I think there's a few different things that we've talked about on the Blue Recluse as well, and one of them is definitely, we came out of Legion. Legion was a really good expansion. It's probably one of the best expansions ever made for World of Warcraft. So it's difficult to follow that up afterwards, I think, and there was a lot of good ideas in Legion and that Blizzard tried to put into Battle for Azeroth, but it just doesn't work in the new setup. For instance, the artifact weapons worked really, really well in Legion because, you got new abilities as you leveled it up, and you got player power, and it was, if we look past the grinding nature of it, it was actually quite a good system because it felt like you still had a progression after you reached max level. And I think that's what they wanted to do here as well. They wanted a system where you can keep progressing your character after you hit max level. But the way that the system works is just so bad, in my opinion, because you don't really unlock cool abilities as you level up your heart. For instance, sure, the armor has some, the artifact armor has some cool spells and stuff, but I don't know. It's just it doesn't. It's difficult to see what kind of abilities are actually the better choice in my opinion. It's not really easy to see through what the best choice is for you to do as a character. And I think that's regardless if you're playing if you're trying to min-max or if you're just a normal player. I mean, Tom and Amanda has been saying that they jumped into World of Warcraft and they were like, I don't know what to choose here, so I'll just choose
Mhm.
something. And I think you kind of, if you're just playing it casually, I think that should be your mindset, to be honest. Just be like, this sounds cool, I'll do that. And don't worry too much more about it. But I think that's also, the problem with the system. You don't have to think about it. And
Mhm.
so there's not a lot of gameplay in that. So yeah, what was the question again? I don't know. I feel like
What they could do to get people back to be really enthusiastic about the game. I mean, in all fairness, I think we've had dips before. Look at Cataclysm. Look at Warlords of Draenor at the end.
Yes.
We've had that, and the game always bounced back. But what could they do that... I have a feeling almost that it's a bit early for this feeling for people. Whereas, you and I think the story is one of the best they've ever done. And the characters they've introduced. But there's something, like, for instance, the Azerites stuff. Fair enough.
Yeah, but it's the gameplay system. It's because they, and I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but I think it's also, what makes the game a little bit not so good right now is just like for instance, when we hit max level, well, some of my guildies who hit max level before me, I asked them, oh, how is it to be, max level? And they were like, yeah, it's just the same like, yesterday before the expansion hit. Everything is exactly the same because Blizzard has made these systems and they're just, putting those systems into the new game. For instance, like world quests, I think they can be way more engaging, but they just, oh, copy paste. We have this system, so now we have some content. Mythic Plus, let's just copy paste it over. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you just have a lot of those systems that just feels exactly the same. And the new systems that they brought in, like the war efforts.
The war fronts?
War fronts, yeah, exactly. They didn't really do much. I mean, they were fun the first few times, but then there's not really too much to it. I don't feel like I feel the danger being in there because, you can lose them. Well, I think you can, but then you have played really horribly bad.
Yeah, but Rugby does nothing.
Yeah, exactly, just AFK. I mean, you can really lose them. It doesn't really feel like there's not too much gameplay. You're basically just following the flow. Oh, now we run over here. We'll take over this camp. We run over there, take the other camp. And then, loot time. It doesn't really feel that, it doesn't feel rewarding. And I feel like that's some of the issues with the game right now, that they are just looking at systems and numbers and not so much on what is actually fun gameplay and things like that. And I think they need to get back into look at, what would make a fun experience, what will players like to do.
Yeah. Do you think that this is that point that it's a good thing that the players have a voice now and that they should listen to what people... I mean, you can't make everyone happy, but
no.
Do you sometimes feel like maybe this is like the perfect moment to ask the player base, well, what would it be that makes you really enjoy this expansion? What have you enjoyed from previous expansions? And what would you like to see in game? Yeah,
I mean, I think that would be a great idea to do, and I think that they actually did that with Hearthstone recently. They asked, hey, why are you people not playing it anymore? And it turned out that a lot of people had a lot of opinions about it, and obviously you'll always get those people who are like, lol, Wafflecopter, we need this stuff, but there's also people who actually have ideas and opinions about why the game's not that fun anymore and what they need to do to fix it. And for instance, I mean, the Chromie event from last expansion from Legion, it was so cool, so fun, but it felt like it was just something they tried out because it didn't really tie in story-wise to anything that happened in that expansion. So it was like, if they did that, something similar to that, like a cool event like that was replayable and actually tied into the story, that would be amazing. That would be something, people would be doing in between patches while they're waiting for the next story content being released. Or the Mage Tower. Challenges like that, it was so annoying in the beginning, quite fun when you started getting the gear for it. And it was something that lasted, I don't know, over 2 patches, I think. It lasted quite a while. And the rewards for it was something, you couldn't get them afterwards. So if you were among the skilled players or the ones who spent the time doing it, then you had something unique as well. And I think that uniqueness of getting something, it's something that was really cool in vanilla World of Warcraft. That, if you were a raider, then you had all this unique gear, or if you were a PvPer, you had your unique titles and gear as well, I guess. And something that makes the players feel unique, I think, is something that they should focus a bit more on as well.
Yeah, and I think actually that's one of the big things. I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think it's that effort that you actually achieved something. And can say, wow, look, this is what I did, and I can work for it no matter what part you're in of the game. Because like you said, with the different skins.
The secrets, by the way, I find the secret community and those secret mounts and whatever you can do, I find that so amazing, and that it must be so much fun doing. It's not something I do. I just look up a guide at the end when everything is figured out. But it's something that I still appreciate anyway, because it's something unique. It's not something I enjoy doing, but it's there. It's not meant for me, but that's fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's still accessible to you afterwards. You might not be the first person, but it is there. And I think that's a great thing that Blizzard puts that in there. But I think you're right with the Mage Tower challenges. That was something that people could work towards constantly and try to improve and try to get it. And yeah, I think, and those hidden artifact skins and it kept you busy no matter what point you were in the game. Yeah. And I almost get the feeling, which is really odd to say that, because I'm still having fun in the game, but I have almost got the feeling that they've crammed too much in the beginning, and now people are a bit oversaturated with it. And it's like, well, I'm waiting now for something that actually will keep me busy again, because like you said, there's only so many war fronts you can do, and I know that some people love doing them, but others are just like, well, it's not really adding anything to my gaming experience. So I almost feel like it's a pacing issue as well, because I'm just like, well, I want to know what happens next. I want to see the next part of the story, what's going on. Why do I have to wait an extra month or two? I just want to know now.
Yeah. I don't know. I think people actually will not like this either, but I actually think it's good sometimes that there is nothing to do in World of Warcraft and you have to do other things, because if I have to look back at Legion, it's the first expansion where I played through all the way without having a break at all. I didn't have a break in Legion. And so when I got into Battle for Azeroth, I was so tired of the game. I was really burned out, and then it didn't really help that we had the same exact systems that we had the month earlier and things like that. So I don't know. I decided to take a step away from the game and quit raiding and just do other things. And I think that has been I think that has done good for me. I'm ready for some World of Warcraft again, but I want some more story content, because at the end of the day, I enjoy raiding, but the story, that's why I play the game to begin with.
Yeah, I think in that regard, you and I are very, very similar. I think, I just want to see what happens with the story, and it's almost like waiting for your favorite series to continue, and you're waiting for the next season, and you're on that cliffhanger ending. You're like, I don't know what's going on. But no, I completely agree. And, even though I want the pacing to be a bit quicker, I do understand that. I guess for people who come back now, who have taken a long break, at least they don't feel like they've missed too much, because I think with the fact that we have allied races and unlocking those and the whole flying debacle that's going to happen in the future, it is a lot for people to catch up at a certain point. So maybe it's good that sometimes we get a little bit of a breather, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Go level those allied races, right?
Exactly, allied races, heritage gear. In all fairness, that's what I'm doing now. I'm like, I could do all of that, but I'm just going to level all my races and get all the heritage gear that I might get in the future, even if I don't have it yet.
Yeah, I think I think the heritage armor and allied races are cool, but I just feel like, is it just me who feels like, maybe it's because I have, all classes, not all classes. I have all classes at max, 110 at least, right? So when the allied races came out, and I realized, oh, if I want this heritage armor, then I need to, level more classes that I already have, all the way from level. Well, granted, only from level 20, but still, I was like, that's
That's
no,
100 levels.
that's a lot of levels. Yeah, exactly. So is it just me that felt like that could have been done differently?
No. I feel exactly the same. I'm like, that's great, but I already have this class, so now I'm okay. So which class don't I completely hate to level? But then it's kind of like, what do you do afterwards? It's like, well, yeah, I have 2 shaman now, or I have 2. What do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like that could have been done even more better. And also, it feels so weird as a dark iron dwarf to go level up in the dwarf areas and kill other dark iron dwarfs. Why would I do that? It makes no sense. Why am I killing my friends?
I know. I think temporary insanity, maybe, or something. I just don't know.
That's what happens when it's all about the loot.
Exactly. So, Marty, did you want to say anything else about the state of gaming or where WoW is at the moment, or?
I just think that everybody should calm down a little bit and see what happens, because both when it comes to gaming in general, but I mean especially when it comes to Blizzard, because we know already now that we won't be getting too much new. Obviously, there will be the mobile Diablo game coming out this year, and we'll get the reforged version of Warcraft 3 that I'm looking so much forward to.
Me too.
And obviously we'll get new characters for heroes, and we'll get the expansions for Hearthstone and stuff like that. But something new we won't really be getting until at earliest next year, 2020. So before we paint doom and gloom colors everywhere, let's take it easy. Maybe try something else. See what else is out there. I do feel like we're living in a time where there's so many things to do if you want to. And then see what happens next year, and if the next Blizzard game that comes out, most likely Diablo 4, I guess, if that is really, really horrible, then sure, then I'm sorry, but it might actually be pretty good, and I think it will be when we get to that.
Exactly, and it's good to take a break now and again and just try something else.
Go outside, maybe. It's
oh,
starting.
I don't know. That's a risky thing you're saying there. Okay, Marty, if people want to follow you and all the podcasts that you do, where can they find you and your millions of podcasts?
My millions of podcasts. Yeah, you can find, I do the Blizzard podcast, the Blue Recluse, where we're shaking things up a little bit. So we might not do a show every week. We might actually do some game streamings instead and stuff like that. You never know, but you can follow all that at thebluerecluse.com or thebluerecluse.eu, depending on what you want. They lead to the same site. And obviously, we're also on Twitter. We usually, tell people what to do. And then I do a more general nerding podcast at Nerd This, which you can find at nerdthispodcast.com. And I think that's the easiest. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, then I'm at Unamithil. If you don't know how to spell that, I totally understand that. I should have chosen a better player name back in the days, but
I will put that in the show notes.
Exactly. There will be some show notes somewhere where you can find it. So.
Exactly. Well, Marty, thank you so much for being the first person to come back.
Well, thank you for having me.
It was lovely having you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I hope you enjoyed the, I wouldn't want to say re-interview, maybe like the return of Marty on the show. I really love talking to Marty and all the guys at the Blue Recluse. It's one of my favorite Blizzard podcasts out there. So make sure that you check that out and also Nerd This. And just go to their network and see if there's any other podcast that you would enjoy, because I'm sure there are many that you can download there. So let's go to some guild drama. So this was sent into Lumei. I'm Luamei. I'm just going to go with that name. I'm really crap with names, guys. You know that. And she said that she has 2 different stories about the same guild. It's just different officers. So let's start with the first story. So she says, first off, I meet a guy on a webpage that I ended meeting as a friend in real life. We meet and we got to know that we both play WoW. So he asked if I wouldn't like to faction change and move realm and join them, because I was playing Horde on another realm back then. I said I could do a new character to begin with. Well, it went for a few months and I began to raid with them. Then moved over to my main chars and we all had a really good time. About 1 year after I joined, we noticed one of our officers who was leading our raids at that time began to act a bit strange. He began to sound like we all just bothered him. We didn't thought much about it by then, we just thought he might have a stressful time in real life. This went on for maybe 3 months, then one of our raid evenings, we didn't have enough people to raid, and this guy decided to rant in guild chat about how bad we all were. That he only stayed because he felt sorry for us, blah blah blah. We ended up kicking him in the middle of his rant and also kick his alts. Then he began to log on his real friend's account, and that was in the guild. And he continued to rant while removing his friends out of the guild. Now the other story is about the guy I mentioned first that I met in real life. We can call him Josh. Josh and I were both officers at this time, but we ended up in a big fight in real life. We tried not to show it to the others in the guild except our main GM, that I told a short version of what had happened, since he noticed something was wrong between us. So I gave him a short version of it and told him that I didn't want anyone to choose who of us they wanted to stay between. That I would prefer they just acted like normal since the fight was between me and Josh in real life. Our main GM agreed that that would be the best for all of the guild and the members of the guild. To be fair, who wants someone fighting in real life toxic drama into the guild as well? Me and Josh ended up to not be friends at all, but we continued to talk in the guild like all was normal. But I got a feeling one evening after a member wrote to me and said Josh had acted really badly when I and the main GM weren't online. So I borrowed a friend's account, made a character on that server, and joined the guild with it. And sure enough, one evening I said that I was going to sleep and logged out from the game and Battle.net to log on to my friend's account. I got on just in time to see how he talked shit about me and the main GM. I screenshotted everything and showed our GM when we were on, all three of us. Josh began to rant about which kind of idiot I was that made fake pics to talk shit about him. That the only thing I wanted was revenge for the fight we had. This went on for about 2.5 hours before we kicked him out of the guild. New Year's Eve, he sends an in-game mail to our GM, or our GM's wife. She was also GM and the person that sorted materials and such for the guild bank, asking to get back the 10k he had donated to the guild and the mats he had donated. He got some of the mats back since we just wanted to get him off of us. He's still ranting over his 10k, which he got sent back now, over a year later. Wow. That is all sorts of wow. I have to say, it's very clever that you created a different character just to catch him out with the screenshots. It's not very, I think, you know, if you have an issue with someone, just say it up front, but maybe that's because I'm very Dutch and it's just easier to be very blunt. But yeah, I think this is interesting to see that there's, again, so much drama about people not being happy in raids and then taking real life fights to the guild. It has happened a lot. I can tell you that. I see a lot of people doing that. But yeah, that's a little bit of drama. I have another short one for you from Elizabeth. And she said, I had a successful guild on Area 52 that I was an officer in. One of the newer guildies somehow talked to the GM into making him an officer. It was great for a couple of days until he took everything, G-quit, then blasted us in trade and bragged about what he did. According to him, I was only an officer because I was sleeping with the GM and everyone in the guild, even though I was on the other side of the country. It sucked, and the guild wound up dying. GM decided to rebirth it later, but it wasn't the same. That's horrible. That's just horrible that someone would say that, you know, you would sleep around with everyone in the guild. That just sounds to me like someone has some very sour grapes there and just has personal beef with you. I wouldn't... Nah, not nice. Anyhow, I have, like, loads of stories left for you, like, seriously a lot. But I'm not going to, you know, put them all out there. I'm just going to do 1 or 2 every week, depending on how long they are. So you have some guild drama to look forward to. You're not alone. Apparently, you know, if you're in a guild that has some drama, you're not alone. If you want me to read out some of your guild drama, I will gladly do it badly, as you can tell. But yeah, just send it to me, and I will gladly read it out for everyone, so we can all share in your pain. And that's really it. I'm going to go back into all my MMOs and World of Warcraft, of course. And hopefully by next week I can say, you know what, I just power leveled one of my my allied races, and they are 120 now. I got my heritage gear, and I'll feel more complete as a person. And that's really it. So you can find the show, of course, you know, if you want show notes and those kind of things, on whispersofwar.podbean.com, Twitter at whispers_of_war. Or you can find me on @McMonkeys with a Z. Email whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com. You know, just in case you want to send me that guild drama story. Or any other drama that you've had in guild, you know, or in game. I mean, like LFR or anything like that. I think we sometimes need to listen to the stories and just think, well, I'm not alone. Or maybe you can laugh about it several years later. God knows I can at my own guild drama. And that's it. So, guys, thank you so much for, you know, the long wait. I understand it's a little bit long. If you want to be a guest, I would love to have you on. So you can be a returning guest, you can be a new guest. You don't have to be a podcaster or big in the community or anything like that. If you're just a regular player like me, just give me a shout out in a private message on Twitter or anything like that. You know, you can send me an email and we'll make it happen. Have a lovely time in Azeroth, guys, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye!